So, welcome again to Exploring Microsoft Office 2013 with Dr. X. And today we're reviewing Chapter 4 from your book. And what we're going to be looking at today, after this very cool collaboration features, is going to be references and external sources. And you all know what this is. Do not tell me you don't, because every time you have to do your homework, you will look up for different sources on the internet. You will Google, you will look at Wikipedia, which is not the most scientific source, and then you will have to look at proper scientific sources, the Nature and Science magazines, other scientific journals, studies from the government websites, energy.gov, etc., etc. So you're using sources all the time. You know what this is, but you need to acknowledge this. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to make a nice document where we've used sources from Google or books or magazines, and we acknowledge these by adding these in a proper professional way in our Word documents. Then we're going to use cross-references and create and modify some endnotes and footnotes. So, ready? Lift off. Here we go. We've got the W04C1 tulips, and that's the document that I've been saving in the cloud, and I've left it untouched since the last time we looked at it. And here's the deal. At this point, I want to add some of the sources that I've used to write all this great information about tulips. So I want to use a few sources, and I want to add these to my document. But first thing I want to do is stop tracking the changes, and then stop showing all these markups. So that's one nice thing I can do, so that I can get rid of all these irritating markups and go on with my life and modify nicely my document. So where is it going to be? Which tab is it going to be that I'm going to be using that much today to add my references in a nice professional way? Okay, there's no need for much analysis to that, because it's going to be the References tab. And here in the middle of the References tab, there's the Citations and Bibliography, which is exactly this, your sources. So you can have different sources for different and different types of sources in your document. So whenever I ask a student to tell me how could I add a source that I found on the internet, like let's say I want to find a scientific guide to plant tulips. So whenever I want to find some good scientific guide to plant for tulips and how can I plant tulips and all that, let's say I'm going to use this Fine Gardening Plant Guide. I've got this great website that I'm using over here, and all of this great information that is given to me, and I've used this information in my document, and now I want to acknowledge that source. So how am I going to do this in a professional way? Well, I think what most of you would say, if you've ever done that, would be insert, citation, add a new source, and then I can add a new source, and the type of my source is website, and I'll need to go and find Control C and copy, highlight and copy the website URL, so Control V, and then I can find the name of the web page. Have you seen what I'm doing right now? I don't think I've showed you that feature. See, in between the cool stuff that I'm showing you with Word, I can show you some tricks with how to navigate your desktop better. So here's how I do this magic. I hit Alt and I hit this keystroke and I hold it down, and then I hit Tab, and then I get this menu from which I can choose different active parts of my screen, my desktop, or the actual desktop. So here's my desktop. So now I want to go back to my website. Here's the website. So the name of the website that I'm using is Fine Gardening. Going back to Word, Fine Gardening. And the name of web page, actually that was the name of the website. Control X, Control V, Find Gardening, and then the name of the page over here is the specific title in that page, which is Genus Tulipa, tulip. So and then I can even look for a year. So the more data you add to your source, the better you reference your sources. So I can look usually down at the bottom of a page. I can nicely find when this document was created, 2013. So the more data that you add is the better. 2013. And that's it. So very nicely, can I find the author? The author of the website can even be this Taunton Press or Taunton's Women's Network. You could have this as your author. It can be a corporate author. And here we are. Let's say we've got enough. You can see a tag name, a very nice tag name. And excuse me, click OK. Now, excuse me again, look at what's happening here. I did insert a citation, but I didn't want to insert this exactly at this spot. I didn't want to have this source. So I want to delete that little flop, that little weird quick part. And then let's see a better way to add a source without adding these weird little quick parts and just inserting them to my document when I really want to, wherever I really want to. So manage sources. So here's my source that I just added. And if I want to add a new one, let's say I will look for Scholar Publications. Scholar Publications. And usually I use Google Scholar for this, so that's what I'm gonna do right now since Bing found this. So see, and Google Scholar, Control V. Google Scholar is a great resource for finding scientific publications. And oh, by the way, if you do your search through a network, either wireless or wired network, a lab network that is under the JU, then you can use the electronic resources of the library of JU, because not all publications are available for free. So if you want scientific documents, better do your search during the time that you're at school, because through Scholar you can find this resource at Jacksonville University. And that is really neat. So, you can find the full text in the Science Direct, which is a very well-known magazine for scientists. I have published papers over here, Science Direct. Elsevier is them. the company that publishes, and very nicely, I'm in the Swisher library, and this is brought to us by our library. So that is very, very neat. So going back to my source, here you can also find all the data that you need to cite this source in your document. So going back, Alt Tab, I have now an article, a journal article actually. Science Direct is a journal. And the author, or we have multiple authors here, is, let's see, the other tab, Charles Edwards, blah, 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 blah. Oh, I'm just going to copy paste their names, Control C, and paste them. And then I can go and find the title. So assuming that you have read this article and you have used the information that you needed over there, and then the journal is Science Direct, and the year is 2000. The year is 1975, and actually I think this one should be an article. I'm sorry about that. Journal article, and then the year is 1975. We can also look at the pages. Well, there's no pages here. Maybe the pages are in the article. Like I said, the more you get, the better. See, December 1975. Oh, and there's my pages, 373 until 381. The more information I sign, the better. It's 373 up to 381. Did I do it right? Yes, and here I go. So now I have my second source, and you can see I have a master's list. The very nice thing with the master's list is that it's saved in the computer that you're working on, and then you can reuse, you can open a brand new document and you'll have these sources, and you can copy these to your current list and use them in your document. Now if I close the manager, you can see that there's no weird quick parts inserted in my document, which is great. Now, what if I want to insert a reference? Like I said, this cross-reference. Let's say the planting, I got my information from this journal. So see the journal because I want to acknowledge my reference. Now I can use insert citation, and I can use the Charles Edwards article. Or I don't even need to use the C parenthesis C. I can omit this parenthesis since my references look like that. Finally, the last thing I'm going to show you over here is with these two references that we've got, I'm going to insert a new page, a blank page, and I'm going to name this bibliography, and then I'm going to make this a little larger title, change the style a little bit to heading 1, let's say, and then here I can add the bibliography for my document. And I can also choose a template from the already built-in templates, or I can insert simply my bibliography. There's different styles to insert bibliography. So for example, I'm currently using APA style. I can change this to Chicago, different styles of bibliography for different venues. For example, IEEE is the venue that I personally publish because it's the International Society of Engineers, and computer engineering publications go there, and you can see the distinct difference in the formatting of my bibliography. So that's it for today, and you can also see that my cross-reference has changed. And now I can even edit the source. You have this nice menu. I can also follow the source by control. Whoops, that doesn't work. So I can just edit my source. So I can bring up the manage sources, edit the citation, and maybe add some additional. This little quick part is called citation. And what else can I do? Update, convert to a static text. I don't really want to do that unless I'm done with my document, because usually I add more sources as I go, so I will want to update citations and bibliography. So this is my favorite option personally. So that's it. Now you've learned how to add a cross-reference, how to acknowledge your source, and how to insert bibliography. Finally, we're not done yet. We're almost done with this second part for chapter 4. Let's say we will want to add an endnote or a footnote. Okay, so insert a footnote. Okay, that's easy. This is my footnote, or I could say as a footnote, I could add my acknowledge my source. See, and then insert citation, my second citation, which is the online website that I just found. I could also add an endnote. So have here, insert endnote. The endnote goes to the end of my document, and this is the very end of my document right now, right after the bibliography. This is an endnote. And that's it for today. You can show notes, and you can use all these options. So we explored fully 2 parts of the references tab, and we will explore more on the next part of Word chapter 4. See you next time.